And we're back. The echo is still back. Can you hear the echo? I can't hear an echo now.
We can hear you.
You can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us. Oh, now I can hear the echo. Great. Hold on. How about now? Am I echoing to you? Okay, that's better. Great. All right. So we're back, and we were talking with Femi and Kenechukwu about their challenges being new time designers when the first time they designed. And so we're going to start from there again.
Yeah, Julie, pun intended, this is one of the challenges that we meet, that we have. We can't even access Tabletopia board game simulators as the same way other people in other probably other countries do. Even Discord. So these are things that we actually consider when we want to make commitments in all of these areas. So, like I was saying, for me, I think it was more of the fact that there are not much. If there are designers, I didn't know them then, and I actually looked for, and there are no components. So most of the components I started with were either from existing games, which are limiting, or I could use stones, or just anything I could just find. And when I design, even up till now, but with some level of freedom, when I design, I have to consider things I have access to. So I can't just be creative freedom. I don't know that creative freedom. That creative freedom is limited to things that we can afford, things that are even in Nigeria as a whole, because there are. I think most people take, for instance, the dice, a complete dice set.
Yeah.
Now, I saw it for the first time in 2016 because someone gifted it to me. I never even knew it existed. And then so many people also come to the cafe, and when they see an eight-sided dice, they're like, "Whoa! I can actually make something with this." And even me as well, when I see new components, I'm like, "Whoa! This is what I've been looking for." Like, so I think those are challenges that I faced personally, and I still do face them, but on a different level. There are obviously accessories I can't access. There
Yeah.
are networks I can be within, because community is also very important. Those things are things that I don't have access to, and there are challenges that I kind of see, and then trying to find where to overcome them. But I'm sure Femi has his own different challenges.
What do you have to say, Femi?
Okay. I think Casey has basically trashed out the issue of access to certain components and within the industry and the kind of limiting factors we face. But I think on another scale, for the fact that he started before me, there were certain things that I met in place. So now we have to face
Yeah.
the upper boundary of these limitations together. But aside that, I think a major issue has been the community, which is what we've been actively working on, trying to create a niche and a community that is actually committed to things that are all tabletop. Yeah. So for instance, I'm big on strategy games. I love components. I love seeing different components in game and all, but the limiting fact on the community comes in part of designing. Having to spend to have access to certain materials or content and not having a community that is ready to play such games limits you. So you're like, okay, should I design a party game that will bring them together? Then from there I move from there, or can I just go all the way? So at the end, it limits in a way or constrains what you actually implement per time.
I agree.
And it's interesting because access to other games is huge. too,
Yeah.
because that's where you learn. That's a, your reference point. So thinking about that, that's really interesting because materials is nice, and we talk about, everybody likes
Yeah.
the shiny
It
bits and
depends.
pieces,
The kids
right?
that compliments.
Right. And that can captivate the imagination, but having actual, also, basically, a game can also be a teaching tool, not just for students, but if you're a designer, learning how other people's brains work to play off of if you don't have people in place to talk to. So that's a really great way of thinking about it. So then what inspires you and motivates you to continue working in board games?
Well,
I think we both
yeah, we have
resigned from our jobs
from our jobs,
for this. And frankly, personally for me, I can't pinpoint that this is the one thing that made me do that. I just feel I found this peace and relaxation in tabletop games, and it's something like I want at this point. It's something I feel I want to do for the rest of my life. Like it's so beautiful. It's so huge, and the value chain. It's something that it also has the economic importance in Nigeria. I mean, think of a country of over 200 million population, and half of this population are young people, and then 60% of these have probably don't have jobs. So there is that value addition into the economy, but and then it gives me this creative freedom. I could just see it, and I'm playing in my head, and it's so beautiful. Who wants to give up on that?
definitely not
So
me.
yeah.
Well, on my part, I've always been a huge fan of studying, education. So it's interesting to see that, oh, there's gamification and these board games can be actual tools. So, like I said, if I did a design project that was based on board games, so it's interesting to want to continue in
Yeah.
this. It's just amazing. It's interesting.
And then when you
Part
see
of it.
people lose a game, that emotion, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you see that
Reactions, of course.
sure, I
Reactions.
didn't talk about winning a lot.
When
That
you
people,
right, emotion, and it doesn't always
Yeah.
have to be joy. It can be frustration. It can be
Yes. It gets to
defeat.
them,
It
and
can,
you see them in
yes,
real
yes.
life. Yeah.
and they play a game.
Exactly.
And I will. So, Femi, so I was a teacher for 12 years, and that's how I
Mm.
started in the industry because I wrote games for children in my classroom. And that was, they basically told me test scores were really bad in our district, and that I had written a paper about using board games as a teaching tool, and they basically were like, "We're at a loss for what else, so you're up. Go." And I was like, "What?" They were like, "Yep, make games, teach the kids through games so that their test scores improve because you said you could." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay. Now I'm
So
music.
that
And
so
did you?
that
And
was,
you did.
and I did, and that was 17 years ago. So
That's amazing.
it, right. So that is beautiful to me in so many ways because that's how I started in this industry as well. And also that being able to be a child and learn, but also play,
Yeah.
and be able to play when it's not, we say that children should have that kind of life, but they don't always, and that's just how life is. But to be able to bring some of that back in, at least, in the learning process, I think is also wonderful.
It's
Um,
I
wonderful.
agree.
Absolutely.
so
It's like
yeah, no,
sorry, I'm talking about gamification. We've also seen how even in Nigeria here, some organizations have started adapting using board games in classrooms. I'm quite aware of an organization that had to work with young people, and they use some games to improve
The learning.
learning in simple arithmetic,
yeah,
simple geography, map finding, even raising awareness on the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So some organizations are doing that. And there was a time we saw a quota from the government on the newspaper. That was around 2018, and the government were calling designers who could create games or materials for early child learning. So it's actually good to see that it's coming down bit by bit gradually in Nigeria, and it's actually an opportunity to even explore in the future, hopefully.
And right, it can. So games can teach you your basic math facts, math
Yes.
skills, but they also teach you that how to handle those emotions, those moments of like, so conflict, but how can you handle being upset with somebody, but it's in a game so you can work through that, as opposed to in life. Like, how are you handling disappointment? How are you handling strategy? So it does so many things at like, when you if you can play games or design games starting at an early age, you have tool sets for going forward in life that I think I'm biased. I'm sure you are too. Sometimes more useful than what they say you have to learn in the classroom.
Yeah.
But so, when what has been unexpected as you've been doing this that you weren't anticipating happening when you started working in board game?
Well, for me, so many things. Well, we have to be careful. Okay, so there are dreams, big goals, because I've seen, just like you said, when you see something that's been done, kind of either inspires you to, design your own or create your own. So I've seen different cafes, I've seen conventions. It was all there for you to see. So there are those wish lists that I wish you could have a place where could have so many games, and I've never seen, apart from the eight classic, I've never seen even Catan. When people talk about Catan, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So I think one of those things that happened was when we did the Kickstart Indiegogo project to open the cafe. Um, it was I think it was a dream come true. It was a major break, and that was not all. When we were successful, we already, even before we started, we knew that okay, these are the limited games we are starting with. We will start with the games I designed and source out from other Nigerians as well. But somehow, uh, uh, Basa Cafe just saw that, oh, we saw this and we saw that, and then they did a board game drive and immediately introduced up to 200 games. And it took a lot of logistics issues, but seeing up to 200 games in a room blew
Yeah.
my mind. Like, it
It blew
was
mine the first time I said,
every day.
whoa.
Every night I'll come out, I'll look at all the boxes, I'll touch them again, and I'll open them, look at some of those components. This is second year, third year.
Good.
We've not even was open
Open up.
so they're so like civilization. It's so huge,
Yeah.
and then the components are everywhere. And I dare not open all of those things, but I have no idea how to pack them back. But it blew my mind. I think that was one thing I did not anticipate happening. I knew that hopefully one day we'll set up a cafe, but I didn't know that someone could do that for us. And every day it keeps amazing me. And it's not the only one. There are a lot of other individuals and publishers across the years have sent in games. And
Yeah.
every day, it still amazes me how people do that.
Tell us
Yeah.
about the cafe a little bit.
The cafe slash the tabletop games hub since the pandemic. So the cafe is it's what it is. We could just
We come and play and we enjoy ourselves.
exactly. So people come in, they pay a certain amount.
And
Dollars
entry
in how
fee,
much?
$8 is that's about $2
Yeah, about $2. They come in and then they have access to all the games.
for as long as they
As
want to.
yes, exactly. Or they could do membership, and then have game nights. That way, we now introduce people to new games. Femi started the play with Femi.
Play with family,
Yeah.
yes.
So where exactly from the cafe, people could once they play a particular
Yeah,
game.
that's what I was talking to you about. That we just finished shooting.
Yeah.
So we play a game with certain people, we post for other people to see that these games are actually available now. Yeah.
Just behind the camera, there are people playing. And if you listen carefully, you just hear there are echoes.
Oh, we can hear but it's super fun because it's actually a very like I can hear everybody enjoying themselves. That's the best sound.
So that's what the cafe is about. It's just like a safe place. Every time that anyone comes in here, um, you see the same expression like every single minute, and people come in. They're like, "No, I want to play chess."
I want to play chess. I'm like, no, there's more. There's more.
And there's a game for everyone. Of course, there are people that they don't like strategy games.
Yeah,
like there's dexterity games,
Yes.
or they don't
Do you
want.
find yourself like so they say I want chess and you're like, okay. And then like how do you approach that? Do you slide over and you're like, also this?
Yes, exactly something like that. Because most when people come in and say, "I want Monopoly and I want chess," I say, "Okay, you like Monopoly? Why not try Catan? You've not played it. Try it. It's you can get vibes from there, and you don't want chess. Why not try Busi? We have a Nigerian game. It's a strategy based. Why not try it?" So again, after 5 minutes of showing them, they are engrossed and they've forgotten every. Once they finish down, they're ready to be introduced to a new one. So the hub just creates that atmosphere to introduce these people to new.
And then for some people, I'll really say no Monopoly, no Scrabble, no chess.
Yes.
I mean, how do you see all these
games
new
and you
games
decide
you want to play this one?
That's
No.
that is my I feel I go to board game cafes and you see Monopoly, Catan, Candyland, which was a game from when I was little. Very, very simple. So you see all of those, which I understand. It's nostalgia. It's familiar. So you're someplace new and there's all these people, but you want to do what's familiar. I understand it, but I'm the worst because I'm not even an employee. I'm just showing up, and then I start picking games out of the library and walking around to the tables and just putting them down in front of people. I'm like, the owners of the cafe are like, you can't do that. I'm like,
you must play this one.
You should try something new.
yeah.
Play this one. Play this one.
Yeah. So, what are your favorite style of games to play? We're going to start with play first.
So it so happens that at the end of last year, I think board game. I'm trying to remember the handle. He messaged me on Instagram and asked. They were doing a research or a survey and asked for my top 5 games.
Okay.
I think I mentioned to you about it. I brought out the games. So off the top of my head, I did not even think. I knew that Small World had to be there. I enjoy Small World as well. And for the fact that I introduced a lot of people with Catan, I had to include it because despite the fact I've played it over and over and over and over. Whenever I'm having headache, introducing someone to maybe Sagrada, a game that they've not played with similar mechanics, I just bring Catan. Then 2-player games, running away from chess, I enjoy Abalone a lot. But right now, I'm not being biased, but I enjoy Village War a lot. That was the last game I played on my Play of Fame, and it so happens that he designed it. Why I enjoy it particularly because I've played it over close to 15 times now, and it was just released in Spill Digital.
Yep.
So you actually played more than I played.
Of course, and I've won more than I have. So, I've played it over and over, and every time I play, I discover something new. Because there are a lot of strategies around it and all that. So I enjoy it a lot. Then aside that, I enjoy Azul abstract games. I enjoy Azul a lot.
But no, I'm not sure between Azul and Sheriff of Nottingham, which is my favorite now. Azul was up until this period was
playing Sheriff of Nottingham
again. So, but I think I love games that there are a lot of interaction. I think that's why I'm now moving towards Sheriff of Nottingham. If you notice last year, more of just on my own.
2-player games.
Yeah, exactly. And Azul was providing that if you just mind your business, that you're picking your cards, you're building. But Sheriff of Nottingham, oh my,
you keep bluffing
and lying. And then last night I played Family Business for the first time.
Yeah.
You got really heated.
Oh my! You know what you said about learning
The
how to
emotions.
lose. I
Yes.
think I'm still going through that stage.
You feel going through it.
Oh my God.
So even based on that, there are a lot of people that come to you probably
Oh,
wait, don't rush. Play this one first. Because I know the way they get once, winning and losing gets it
Yeah.
together. But why not try pandemic? We all lose together, so you're not alone.
so
Yeah.
Azul is my. It's funny because Azul, when I can't sleep at night, is I will set up a 3-player game and play myself, like play against myself, and try different strategies, and just that action of just thinking about the pure math or playing based on emotion or based on because I like colors helps me like drain all the other thoughts. And so it's my for years now I will play Azul when I need to just calm down and
Yeah.
and find a center. Which to say that about a game is is pretty. I mean, it's pretty and it's beautiful, and I can introduce it to a lot of people. But that is one. So I'm glad that you found it. I've had a number of people, not so many questions, but making some comments and suggestions. I don't know if you have the games or not, but Onitama, if people like chess, or Shobu. Uh,
I did not get that.
We didn't hear that.
no, okay. So Sheriff of Nottingham was it's Simon's game now, but before that it was Arcane Wonders, and they have another game called Onitama, which is like chess, but instead of having pieces have the set movement, you have cards that say that any of your pieces can move in that movement, so people can see in that one movement what your choices are. So it's changing it's the same kind of feel where you're trying to catch you're trying to take out your opponent's pieces,
Okay. Yeah.
but they have in the game there's 5 different cards. So you always have 2 in front of you for a choice, and then once you play it, you put the one that's in the center and take it, and so you're rotating through those 5 different moves. So
Okay.
everybody has 5 moves, but when you can use them.
Okay.
And I do know, I think
What's the aim of the game? What's the objective? Well, I will check
it's like
it. I'll check
chess.
it out.
The object is to capture all the pieces.
Capture. Okay.
Yeah. So it has a very similar feel, but with a new different, like you have to have a different strategy every game because the pieces are different. So that, and Shobu is one where you have 2 boards, and your opponent has 2 boards, and it's light and dark squares and light and dark stones. And what you do on one side with one of yours, you have to mirror and do to the opposite side. So same thing, you're trying to push off your opponent's the light stones or the dark stones, and you push all of them off or jump over them and capture them, while preventing them from doing it on yours as you're adjusting.
Surprisingly, when we were much younger, there was this game in which we, on a white sheet of paper, everyone is allowed on. You have a part, the person you're playing against has a part. Then you're allowed to draw stars. You draw like maybe 5 stars.
Yes.
Then it's 4 them, and they draw a line trying to kill out your star. So when they like mark it, they open it to check if they got. It's like we played
I think at the beginning of the game, you first draw your own shape.
you draw it
everywhere.
You draw it
and
without
then you start
then everybody
casting
starts.
off.
Yeah.
Is that what it looks like?
Yes,
Yeah,
a little bit. But I feel like I should send you, I'm at least going to send you pictures of it and everything, because I don't know, like you said, logistics, getting games to you is a challenge. But the beautiful thing about it, and I'm sure Kurt would be okay with this, Kurt is the publisher, is it's because it's rocks. It can be recreated very easily, I think, without needing. I mean, I'm sure you'd want, because it's pretty and they're all polished, and but still, I think it's a game that could be easily recreated without having to worry about whether the shipping is going to take 2 months or 3.
If we have the permission,
Yep,
Yes.
of course. But that's when I will ask him about it. I'm sure he would be happy to
It's
share.
all
Right.
Alright.
And I know you know from Arcane Wonders, Robert, because he got excited, or at least you're Facebook friends with him because he got excited when he heard that from Arcane Wonders for Onitama, when I said that I was going to be speaking with you today. So he knows of the work you're doing there and the greatness. So
fingers
maybe
crossed.
you need to give him a hard time and say, if you think we're so great, maybe you should send us some Onitama.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So what is your next move? What's your next goals for what you are doing?
You want to go first?
Well, okay. Of course, the pandemic sets back
Yep.
certain things. So I had a series of gamification projects panned out, but I had to stall a bit for things to hopefully get back to physical interactions. Then I'm improving on my instant series game. I'm about publishing two extra games in the series.
Wow.
Yes, and I have an historical game on the way. Fingers crossed, very detailed, but by March,
So
I'm working
that's all
towards
you're
that.
gonna say? That's your spoiler?
For now, yes,
All right.
yes. Yeah.
I see how it is.
Oh yes, and Play with Femi. I hope it gets big and it introduces a lot of Nigerians to tabletop games.
Me too. I hope that too. Okay. I know you are still. I think for me, it's more about. So we have new games. Couple of new games we want to see how the best possible way to get it across to as much people as possible. We are talking to so we have those partnership already with tabletop games cafe in Ohio, Columbus. So our games are readily available with them, some of our games. So I think the next couple of months we'll be working on the new games, probably if we could some Kickstarter, and then but in for Nipcard in Nigeria, I think we are working on improving our capabilities in producing more games faster. So I think we've gotten to that level where we are so proud of what we are making now. I look at the games we have, and it even makes me be appreciative of people who have been supportive over the years. Paying for our games even when they know that it's not that quality, because one of the ways we crowdfunded for the cafe was to reward backers with some or all of our games. But and then you see people that even they are all return buyers, they either recommend someone or buy another type of our games. But currently we've reached a level where we are so confident on what we are doing, but it's now more of churning it out in larger amounts and within stipulated time, so it's simpler time. Because most of all of those are handmade, so we are trying to now. Uh, Currently, we are sourcing for funds within the country and trying to set up. So that's where we are now. So it's more of working on the distribution end and also working on the production end. But with help from people a lot. I think the designing, the studio, it has gotten to a level where we can now design some games that we couldn't design years back, but it's the production and the distribution. So that's our goals.
And so you said, just so that anybody who's watching here in the United States, that you do have a partner here in it's Columbus, Ohio, right?
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
so Columbus is where Origins Game Fair is, which is a bigger convention. So that's this again, like you said, this year is not the year for people going and traveling and going. But if anybody is interested, it's what was the name of the game store again?
Tabletop Games Cafe.
Tabletop Games
So
Cafe.
yes, Games Cafe. Yes.
I love that place.
Oh, you see our games there.
I was paying so attention. I heard it, but I did it kind of yes, no, they're wonderful.
Yeah, everyone is amazing.
Yeah,
Everyone is amazing. Yep. Yep. Yep.
that is a very and I hope that they continue to do well through the pandemic as well. But there was a question Tam had asked about. So you're publishing games in Nigeria. Are there other publishers, or are you the place to be?
Well, so there in Nigerian markets, there are two markets. There is the classic games and the modern game. So it's safe to say in the modern gaming, we are trying to, as much as possible, make it popular in Nigeria as much as we can. But there's
Yeah,
already an existing gaming market in Nigeria that is big. But it's more of the classic Monopoly. Yeah. We have Scrabble. Like I already mentioned, that Nigerians are winning global competitions in Scrabble. And then we have chess. There are chess clubs in schools. Parents still pay tutors to teach their children chess. And we have Ludo. It's so rare to enter a market in Nigeria without seeing people playing either Ludo or drafts or what or Mancala. So
yeah,
Nigerians play games a lot. Only
yeah,
that there are no access. That is what we are doing now. And I think in Nigeria we have Best Time Games. They are an official partner with Hasbro, and they have created about 3 or 4 editions of Monopoly. So there's Monopoly Nigeria, there's Monopoly Lagos, and other Monopoly. Yeah. But for modern gaming, I think because we exist, obviously we exist because of a lot of support. Because we exist, there are in, if I include Femi, because Femi represents Central Games, he self-publishes his game. We also have Forerunner Games, who we have made 3 of her games for her. I actually wrote about her on the website. We read the blog on our website, and then there is ID ideology. So these are people that about 3 publishers that NICAD have supported to release their own games, and there's so much people designing that in the pipeline, and I can't announce it. They have to release the games first. But there's so many. A lot of people are inquiring. A lot of people are trying out new. A lot of people. Should mention even lead and entertainment. Yes. So there are quite a lot of people now either currently designing games or we are in the conversation of they have a game idea and they didn't know this place even existed and they didn't even know that there are board games that other people have been designing. So we hear that a lot. So again, just to summarize, there are 2 markets. There is the existing market and then there is the modern market that we are.
yep. So we call that in the United States, we call it the mass market and the hobby market.
Oh,
But yeah, same thing, same thing.
Okay.
And the same, but that's right. So people know, well, Monopoly, yes. But and that's good because that at least is getting to play a game and have an experience. But it is also nice to have new creative and having a place and a location like a cafe to meet and be able to have those ideas is amazing. So that's fantastic. We've got like 5 more minutes, so I'm going to, instead of asking another question, I'm going to say, is there, for everybody interested in learning more about you, where do they go?
Twitter at Centroid Games, Centroid_games. Same on. Okay, I can type here. That's Centroid_games on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
So yes, and
There we go. None pups
yeah,
got you covered.
and on Instagram the channel is Centroid Games.
Fantastic. Yeah.
On YouTube, sorry, on YouTube the channel is Centroid Games. Sub-channel Play with Femi.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then for us, nipcadgames.com. And then Nipcat Games on all social media platforms. So Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So Nipcat Games. And on Google. So Google Map.
Maybe on car.
Thank you so much for doing this with me. This was great. I'm now wide awake.
We started like this.
Yeah, it's right.
When we started, it was like this. And then
It's all set.
Thank you for being
But now I'm ready for my day. Like, so I know it's late for you, but now I'm good. I'm awake. I'm excited to do some work.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, too.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Nonpop 2-1.
Thank you, Nampa.
Thank you so much. It's actually amazing. Every chance to talk about what we do, we love it.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Right. But thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.